Imagine a room, black like an abyss. There's not a spark of light, nor a flame of hope. The air is stale, difficult to breathe, and with every movement, you trip or stumble over the obstacles at your feet. Little insignificant items, causing scrapes and bruises that you could not even see, and eventually accept. If this is life, is it not better to keep silent? Allow the little room to suffocate you, if only to have peace of mind. Such a prison cannot always be escaped easily. So you were grateful you had help. So grateful for Eijirou and Katsuki opening the door to your freedom, to fresh air, to light and color outside, for being patient while you adjusted your eyes to the sensitivity, for keeping their desires separate when they knew it was not what you needed. Though you three were not official, being with them was like a fresh sea breeze, carefree and effortless. There were little changes, small adjustments to their way of life that began once you'd given them permission to court you. Nothing extravagant, like a grand proposal. However, with Katsuki, light touches almost felt like the same thing. He wasn't the affectionate sort, not even with Eijirou in the public eye, but he'd always done something small to show that Eijirou was special, unique, chosen by him. Katsuki would lean on him. It would seem insignificant to those who don't know Katsuki for the prickly chihuahua he was, but you and all your friends knew that Katsuki would never allow himself the comfort of someone else's support. In his mind, it made him appear weak. So the day that he walked up to you and casually placed the weight of his spiky-haired head on your shoulder, like a kitten finding comfort in their owner's palm, you'd frozen, the report in your hand nearly forgotten. It had been a briefing room where one or two of their friends had been and had also halted in their actions to gaze curiously. Katsuki's sharp ruby eyes had flicked to you, a clear question glimmering over his irises. A few hundred thoughts had flooded your mind in that moment, but in the end, you'd merely turn back to your report and hope that the flush on your face was not too obvious. Katsuki had taken that first okay as an oath, settling onto you with no hesitation at any given moment, and it was not long before you began to crave the faint touch. Then, there were the renovations. Hey Katsuki, I was thinking, we should put more built-in cupboards in the guest room, don't you think? Eijirou had mentioned offhandedly one day, while you stirred soup. Katsuki glanced up from his vegetables, to Eijirou at the counter scrolling on his phone. He hummed, not a bad idea. And a new bed. I'm not sure the one we have is comfortable enough. And while we're getting that, we should get a proper bed for Mai. Eijirou planned excitedly. For now, the sweet but naughty kitten slept on the sofa, despite the bundle of old blankets they'd found and folded into a makeshift bed. Cleaning cat hair from the couch had become a daily chore. It had taken a second for those statements to click. Wait, you don't have to do all that. We're not even, I might decide not to. It felt uncomfortable to express you may not agree to be in a relationship with them, especially with everything that they'd done for you, despite them reiterating constantly that you are under no obligation. Katsuki rolled his eyes. It doesn't matter. You're living here now. You should be comfortable regardless. You'd witch your lip and stirred the soup stiffly. And, if you decide to move out, Eijirou said evenly, you can take the bed with you, as a housewarming gift. And while we had to upgrade the guest room anyway, it's the same as when we moved here. That sounded a little better. You nod and quietly say, if you're sure. However, the upgrades did not stop there. Once Katsuki had seen you doing reports on your bed, he'd wordlessly stormed off. An hour later, a desk, a chair, and a complimentary lecture on the bad effects of working on your bed were logged into the guest room. Katsuki and Eijirou had integrated you into their homes, carved out spaces for your hobbies, adjusted schedules to work around your important appointments, and they'd done it effortlessly. You'd always thought of their relationship as a well-oiled machine, and, at first, contemplated whether your addition would rupture its perfect run. However, you fit in with Katsuki and Eijirou like a gear no one knew was missing. Placed correctly, and they discovered that the machine had a whole new purpose. Different, but exponentially more beautiful. When Katsuki and Eijirou had announced their decision to court you, you never imagined it would be this easy, or how quickly you'd sink in to the comfort of their embrace. However, the little arrangement was known exclusively to them. While you were sure a few suspected, specifically Mina, considering the smirk she shot you whenever you were with either boy, the rest remained clueless. You preferred it that way, for now. You didn't need the external pressure to make your decision. It needed to be holistically your own. But that didn't stop you from hanging out with your friends. Katsuki and Eijirou just had to monitor their affection a little bit. Tonight's outing was spontaneous. Denki had messaged the class group chat to see if anyone wanted to hit up the bar after his shift finished early, and surprisingly, many were free, including the three of you. Though Katsuki grumbled with every step they took towards the nightclub known as Hypnotic, they were the first to arrive. The place was packed, but Eijirou, being as tall as a bear, managed to find an empty booth on the raised platform, overlooking the dance floor. The only issue was that they'd need at least 2 of those to fit everyone coming. I think we're gonna need another table, Eijirou shouts over the rowdy crowd and loud bass. Kat, why don't you go ask one of the waiters if it's possible to, gatekeep a table? Why me? Katsuki screamed. Because they'll probably be scared of you and say yes, you reply. I'll go get us some starter drinks. Are you fine to go sit at the table so no one else takes it? On it, Eijirou chimes, and marches off diligently. Katsuki shoved his hands into his pockets, muttering irritably under his breath as you both push your way towards the bar. You nudge him gently, leaning in so you didn't have to shout. You didn't have to come, you know. Katsuki rolled his eyes. With you and Eijirou giving me baby doll faces, how did you expect me to say no? Plus, I would have had to stay at home, alone. Wouldn't you prefer the quiet? You're always complaining about us being too loud. You joke. No, Katsuki snapped, but didn't elaborate. You glance at him, and notice him avoiding your gaze. Did the tips of his ears look darker? You giggle to yourself, but decide not to tease him. There's a waiter over there. Go ask him about the table. I'll go get something strong to mellow you out before the others get you. Yeah, whatever, he mumbled, stomping across the nightclub. You watch him go as you walk over to the bar, amused. You lean on the counter watching the raven-haired bartender and wait to catch his eye. His bright green irises, nearly nuclear, flicked to you, and then he walked away. You frown. Why would he walk away from you? Was there something on your face? Or maybe he recognized you as a hero? You grimace. That may be it. Public image was such a tricky thing. Not everyone is going to like you. And with the recent scandal, you consider going back to the table to ask Eijirou to order instead. But then the bartender returned, with a shimmering drink that was between blue and green. You look up confused. Oh, I didn't order. The man pushed his long fringe behind his ear, gazing at you intensely. On the house for you, sweetheart. You flush under his stare, the smile in his eyes. Oh, I'm dating someone, you blurt out, despite it not necessarily being true. Encouraging someone else's advances seemed wrong when you were still sifting through your feelings for Eijirou and Katsuki. The bartender tilted his head, his eyes sparking, neon in the dimness of the club. His lips quirked at its ends. I wasn't expecting anything, darling. Just thought you deserved a drink after what you've been through. Oh, you say, surprised. and smile warmly. You thought more people had been on your ex's side. How refreshing to be proven wrong. Well, thank you. The bartender leaned forward. How about I get your order ready? Yeah, can I get a bread sangria and a pomegranate margarita? And, well, I guess I don't need a drink anymore. He winks. Coming up? You nurse your special drink as you wait, scrunching your nose at the taste. It was definitely unique, fruity and bitter, with an almost metallic tang. You hum, and stare down at the swirling glitter in the teal liquid, a color close to the shades of the sea. Not something you would normally drink, but you weren't gonna argue with free alcohol. Drinking alone? That's sad, said a condescending and vexatiously familiar voice. Your body clams up, your hands tighten around your drink, and your head refuses to turn to the dreaded man who saddled up beside you. Nothing to say to me after you ruined my image, he said, deceptively calm and collected. But you sensed the thread of malice hidden in his frequency, recognized it from the moments you'd foolishly dropped your guard, only to be met with pain seconds later. You clench your jaw, taking another sip from your drink, without giving him the satisfaction of your attention. You did that to yourself. He hums, long and drawn out, like a snake hissing as it tastes the air. Where's your new boyfriend, slut? You roll your eyes and don't answer, but inconspicuously search through your peripheral for Katsuki and Eijirou. You were torn between wishing they were here and praying they wouldn't see. Not that you weren't able to handle him on your own, but having their support aided your courage. However, you had no doubt that a fight would break out on sight, and you'd hate to ruin their night off with violence. Ah, so you haven't slept with them yet, he taunted. Careful, their generosity will run low soon. But don't worry, love, he purred, the sound as revolting as his sudden touch against your hand. I'll take you back, if you beg. You jerk away from him, knocking over your drink. Nausea crawled up your throat, and you stumble away from him. Your heart pounded with anxiety or anger, you couldn't tell. Don't fucking touch me. He laughed, casually rising from the bar stool. That's more like it, love. This is how I prefer you. In your next heartbeat, he was an inch away from your face, his harsh breath touching your skin. Even with all that hero bullshit, don't forget what you are. A weakling and a coward. You fist your hands, glaring up at him. Here he was resorting to intimidation tactics when you both knew who was stronger. What was the reason for him to come here and provoke you after everything that happened? Could he simply not let go and move on? What are you doing? You ask him, exasperated. You want to try to defame me again? It won't work. I told the world about you. I'm not afraid of you, and I never was. You had power over me, but you don't anymore. I don't know what you're playing at, but this needs to stop. You need to leave me alone. You turn away from him, back to the bar to search for the man that had taken your drink order, wondering distantly why it was taking so long. Your ex leans against you, briskly, and you tense, ready to elbow him, but he breaths sharply. This is not over. You think because you grew a spine that you can escape me, but you never will. When next I see you, you'll be begging for my mercy, love. Then he releases you. You whoop around, but he disappeared into the crowd. Your eyes search the mass, but he evaporated like a wisp of smoke. You sink onto the bar stool, exhaling the tension in your limbs. Why was that short interaction so exhausting? Why did he have to show up here and ruin your night? You shake your head, trying to shake off the distress he'd caused you. You couldn't allow him to corrupt anything further in your life. You were going to have a fun night off with your friends and barricade your mind from thoughts of him with tequila shots. Here's your order, the bartender alerts. Sorry for the wait. You smile politely. Don't worry about it. You pay quickly and grab the drinks, pausing to look for Katsuki in the crowd so you could head back to Eijirou together. As your eyes scan the sea of dancing people, you falter. Your sight begins to blur. You blink a few times in an attempt to clear it, but it worsens. The crowd begins to smudge together. The lines of the strobe lights flashing past were too bright and disorientating. Your head struck with a throbbing dizziness, and you realize too late that was his purpose here. He spiked your drink. The room is too warm, too hot. It's unbearable in your own skin. You trip over your feet and try to grab onto something, anything to ground you when you could not even make sense of your surroundings. Vaguely, you knew you'd dropped the drinks, had heard the shatter and felt the wetness on your skin. But what did that matter when you were barely in control of your own body? Your limbs would not obey. Moving resembled the struggle of pulling a puppet with a string too long. You tugged and tugged, only for your leg to make a minuscule step. Your panic grew with every moment your body did not follow your mind's commands. You call out for the only people who could help you. Katsuki! Eijirou! But over the deafening music and the roaring mass, your hope of them hearing you waned.